Welcome to the first module of our 8-month-long Say Yes to Money journey. Abundance is our birthright. But we're stuck in scarcity consciousness, and therefore we struggle with something that should be as easy for us as breathing. So here we've got an image of Lakshmi. She's the Hindu goddess of abundance. You'll notice that she has gold coins coming out of her bottom right palm. She's connected to the source of abundance. She's around, her background, it's full of gold and coins and whatever. But the key is not only is she surrounded by abundance, represented here by money and gold, but money is literally flowing through her, through the palm of her hand. Why is it not so easy for us? Well, it's because we have internal barriers that block abundance and money flows, which we're going to identify and release during this course. Number two, we have been conditioned into scarcity consciousness. Our whole society is conditioned to believe that, to make us believe that there's not enough for everything. You have to work hard for things. Some things are impossible. You have to wish for them or win a lotto or expect a miracle. But we are literally marinated in a soup of scarcity consciousness. So the second thing that we are going to do in this course is to shift out of this into abundance or prosperity consciousness. Finally, we need to shift from a reality where money is a zero-sum game. Most of us don't know how to create and generate more money without trading off something else like our time or our joy. So you take a job that pays you more money, but you're less happier, or you have less freedom, or whatever you do to have that extra money is affecting your life or your safety or so on. But usually, as the money goes up, something else that we value just as much or even more, we get less of. So we don't know how to create and generate more money without taking away from something that we already value. So these are the three main things that we're going to be working on for the next 35 weeks. At this stage, I want to introduce you to two spiritual laws: the law of abundance, as well as half of the law of correspondence. The law of abundance states that your natural birthright is to flow with abundance. Only one thing can stop you receiving this generosity from source, and that thing is your consciousness. The flow of abundance is directed towards you or away from you by what you think, what you believe, what you've experienced, and your levels of deservingness. Deservingness is one of the things that we will work on during the Yes to Money journey. So the definition of to deserve, it says to have earned or to be given something because of the way you have behaved or the qualities you have. So you earn. Deservability is like code for earning, right? It's a very problematic concept. It is the opposite of inherent worth. You deserve something by earning it. But if abundance is our birthright, then we do not have to earn abundance. If we don't have it, abundance that is, it's because of barriers that we have built against it, but it is never about earning it. When you think about things in your life, you tend to ask yourself, what have I done to deserve this? Or what do I need to do to deserve this? How did I earn this thing that's good? Or how did I earn this thing that's bad? So if you believe in the concept of deservability, you already have one thing to work on during this course. So think of an amount of money you'd like to have on a monthly basis, right? Say you feel that you'll be happy with 250,000 rands, for instance. Then ask yourself, do I deserve to have 250,000 flow into my life on a monthly basis? If the answer that you come up with is yes, then the question becomes why? Maybe the answer is because you work hard. Then what if you get sick and you can't work hard, or you simply get tired of working hard? Then what then? Does that mean that you are not someone who should be receiving 250,000 rands anymore? If the answer is no, the question is, what is it that what is it that you believe you need to be or do or have in order to deserve that amount of money? Maybe you think you need to have an MBA, or you need to be in a different industry. But either way, can you see how the concept of deservability immediately puts limitations to the flow that wants to come to you? So if you've told yourself that in order to deserve 250,000, you need to have an MBA, but you don't have it. And there's money that wants to flow with you to that amount or more, but it can't because your consciousness is redirected it by you saying, I need to have an MBA in order to deserve this amount of money flowing in my life. So your first bit of homework is discovering what you believe about earning the kind of money you'd like to have flowing in your life. The Say Yes to Money course, like all the Goddess Academy courses really, is always a journey of self-discovery. So if you look to the left of your screen, you'll see a download section. You'll find a workbook there that you can download that contains all the things you need to work on for this week. So the practical work for the whole course will always be found in the download section. By the end of our Yes to Money journey, you should see financial prosperity and overall abundance as your birthright, not something that you need to earn. The second law I want to bring up at the very beginning of this program is the law of correspondence. The law of correspondence has two parts. The first part says as above, so below. The second part says as within, so without. But for now, for this course, we are concerned with only the second part, which says as within, so without. So the law states that the universe rearranges itself to reflect your reality, to bring you what you believe. I'm going to repeat that. The universe rearranges itself to reflect your reality. You are the cause, not the effect. It starts with you. We tend to think that we are how we are because of how things are, but in fact, things are how they are because of who we are. I'm going to repeat that too, because it's a bit of a mindfuck if you're hearing it for the first time. We tend to think that we are how we are because of how things are, but in fact, things are how they are because of how we are. Literally, as within, so without. Let me give you an example. I love this example because it demonstrated this law so well for me. So the one time I bumped into a girl I know. She's the mother of two. She was pregnant with her third child when I bumped into her. And she was late in her pregnancy. And she had broken up with the father of her child early in the pregnancy. Now she was late in her pregnancy, but she already had a new boyfriend who became her boyfriend while she was pregnant with somebody else's child. And then later on, same day, I went to meet a client. And she was in another place because she really wanted a relationship. She was in her very late 30s. She was divorced. She had two kids. And she kept on talking about how it's not going to happen to her because men don't want women who have kids. They come with too much baggage, and men want younger women. And she had all of these limiting beliefs. And the interesting thing, we'd met in public sometimes. I used to like coaching people in coffee shops because it's harder for them to cry, basically. Because sometimes you coach people and they spend the whole hour crying and then you don't get any job done. So when you're in public, they don't. But I've changed my mind about that since I think we need spaces to cry and release our emotions. But anyway, I had met this particular person in a coffee shop. And even when we were talking, I noticed quite a number of men checking us out. Some checking me out, some checking her out. But there were a fair amount of men who were interested in her. But she wasn't seeing any of this because her reality wasn't allowing her to see it. Because in her mind, I'm in my 30s, guys my age want younger women. I've got two kids. Guys don't want women with baggage. But yet I was with another person who was in her 30s and managed to get a boyfriend. Why? She was pregnant with her third child, and it wasn't even that guy's. This law is so amazing. Once you get into it, you see it everywhere. Even your body reflects what's going on within you. Your thoughts manifest in the shape, the function, and the well-being of your body. When you feel unsafe for whatever reason, when you feel unsafe, you tend to gain weight, and it doesn't really matter how much you go on a diet or exercise or whatever. Maybe it'll shift for a little while, but it comes back because you use that fat as a protective layer, for example. So as within, so without. As is happening in your mind, your body is going to show it. Your pets are another good example. They will often express things externally that you're not expressing on the inside. I remember something happened to me. I I was going through a breakup. We had 2 dogs, and they were guard dogs. They were Alsatians, so they stayed outside. They were very well trained. They never went into the house. And this relationship was imploding, and there was a lot of fighting that we needed to do and a lot of yelling and whatever, but we were not doing it for whatever reason. It was all repressed. And instead, the dogs started acting up. They started running into the house. They started tearing things up, and they were very well trained dogs. If you open the gate, they'd run outside and push people's dustbins. They just became chaotic, but they were an external reflection of what was happening inside of me and inside of my partner. Inanimate objects as well. The things you own are the extension of your energy, your home, your car, your computer. Often when you have a lot of emotions that you're not suppressing, you'll have issues with water, like you'll have drains that are leaking, your geyser will burst, those kinds of things, because you're not letting them out. So your external environment will do that for you. Issues with your cars often have to do with the direction that you're taking in your future. And if there's something that you have a future with, there's a direction you don't want to take, you don't want to go somewhere, or you don't want to make a decision, you'll start having issues with your car breaking down, tire punctures, whatever, because your car represents that motion. But this is not what this course is about. But I wanted to show you all these levels, because spiritual universal laws apply to everything. Nothing is an exception. So this law that says as within, so without is the second thing that you're going to reflect on. What is your life showing you about what you believe with regards to money, scarcity, prosperity, and abundance, right? So you'll also find this in your workbook as well. So now we've got 2 things between now and next week. I mean, it'll take longer than that, but that's your homework after this module. So let's talk about nature. Nature is abundant. I want you to look at the image at the top. It's not CGI, it's a real image of a jungle out there. The only place you encounter scarcity is where humans are involved, because we have cut ourselves off from the flow of the universe with our beliefs and concepts about struggle, desirability, scarcity, and worthiness. Where there is no human intervention, there's always abundance. Even if you go to places like the desert, which looks barren, it has a lot of life. It's teeming with life. There's all sorts of animals and insects and species that live in the desert, and they live quite well in the desert. The only time we get cut off from the abundance that the universe gives us is when we come with a human concept of separation. We think we're separate from the universe. We think we're separate from nature, and all the stuff that we've got programmed in our minds cuts off our connection to abundance. The reason I've put this other picture at the bottom, so you see there's a little flower growing through concrete. So obviously concrete is a man-made thing, and this whole thing looks very barren. But even when you give nature just a little chance, it will give its creations, and we are one of that creation, a chance to survive, and not only to survive but to thrive. So I mean, look at this little flower growing in a little crack that it found in the pavement. So I think what I'm saying is, when you stop interfering with how nature works, soon enough it returns to its natural state, which is always a supportive state of abundance. So this is what you should take away from these 2 universal laws we've just spoken about. Number 1 is that abundance is the birthright of all, not some of us, not some things, but of all. And number 2, if you're not in the flow of abundance, or to the extent that you are disconnected from abundance, it's a reflection of the internal obstacles you have built against it. So in order to change the nature of your relationship with money, you have to look within. It's not about getting a better job. It's not about marrying rich. These things may change the amount of money you have in your life, but they will not change the nature of your relationship with money. And in this course, we want to create a relationship with money that's defined by ease. So let me give you an example of how amounts don't change anything. So I know a lady that I used to work with. she's a salesperson, and she, there's someone washing the dishes not too far from me, and I have a feeling it's being part of the recording, but I apologize if it irritates you, but there's not much I can do about it. Anyway, so I was telling you an example about this lady. She married very rich. She married like a stupidly rich guy. They live in a huge house, like my whole house can fit in just her lounge. They drive. They've got like about 3 Porsches and some other random cars. And she still works. And the reason that she works is that she's got sickly parents who don't have medical aid. Their father's got some terminal illness, and she has to work to pay for her father's medical bills and whatever. And her husband is not interested in giving money to her parents. So she lives in what looks like a very opulent and abundant environment, but she still found a way to have money problems because there is something internally that hasn't changed about her relationship with money and how easy it comes to you and what you need to do to earn it, despite having married rich. So 35 weeks, right? What on earth are we going to be doing for 35 weeks? I'm sure that's the one that's creating noise in your head. So the original Yes to Money course was 12 weeks long. It was very effective and it produced great results, but it was not nearly enough time to go through the layers of stuff that stands between us and our money flows. So I have to say that this is not a zero-sum game. It's not like a light switch, where you switch on the light and it's bright, you are abundant, you switch it off and it's dark, you are in poverty consciousness. It's about degrees. It's more like a tap. So you can open a tap and there's a trickle of water, and you open it more, there's more water, you open it more, there's even more water. So the amount of internal limitations that you transcend and dissolve and releases increases the flow of abundance in your life. So you work on it for 12 weeks, the flow increases. You work on it for 35 weeks, the flow increases even more. You work on it for an entire lifetime, the flow increases even more. So I want bigger, better results by making it much longer. And I've learned many things since the last time that we did this course. So we have limiting beliefs, right? That block our money flows, such as money is the root of all evil. You might believe that you can't make money during a recession. You might believe that the only way to become rich is to run your own business, which is a complete and utter lie. Many CEOs don't work for themselves and they make tons of money. They make bonuses in multi-millions. They don't work for themselves. But my point is that the beliefs that you have about how money is allowed to come in and stay in your life and the nature of money will have an impact on your money flows. So I'm trying to explain to you why we need 35 weeks to do that. The other blockage that we've got vows that we have taken and are present in our previous lives. So let me give you an example of a present life vow. So when I was around 10 years old, my grandmother sent me to some other house to go pick up something or the other, the way grandmothers do. And I went to this house and there was a party on that street. And there was this commotion. This girl, she looked like she was in her early 20s. I was 10 around that time. Started having a fight with her boyfriend and she dumped her boyfriend. And then that guy stripped her of her clothes because he apparently had bought these clothes for her. And then he went and got scissors. I don't know where he got scissors, but he went and got scissors and he grabbed her hair and he started chopping at her hair randomly because apparently he had paid for her to get her hair done. So he was like, if you're going to break up with me, you must bring back all my shit, basically. And I remember standing there and I'd forgotten this vow. I just remembered it a few months ago, actually a few weeks ago. That's why I've been talking about it quite a lot because it was so amazing to me when it surfaced that I remember standing there and promising myself that I will never ever let a man do things for me so that I'm never in a situation like this. And I think I forgot about it, and I went on with my life. But when I look at my life, I have been behaving in keeping with that vow. And sometimes in ways that are very irrational, but I make it very hard for men to support me. So, for example, an ex-boyfriend of mine once gave me 2,000 rands. This was years ago, I think in the early 2000s. So it was a fair amount of money. I had mentioned that I was broke, and it was a new relationship, and I mentioned that I was broke, and I wasn't asking for money. I was just sharing. I was just talking. So he came to my house and he gave me 2,000 rands. He gave me an envelope. I opened it. It had all these notes. And I'm like, what? This? He says, it's money. It's 2,000 rands. I'm like, why are you giving me money? He said, no, you said you were broke. I'm like, yeah. I said, so I freak out. I said I was broke, but I didn't ask for money, blah, blah, blah. And I overreacted. And I could see on his face that he was shocked, but I couldn't stop myself because I have this vow, right? And so he says to me, okay, fine, don't take it like I'm not giving it to you. Will you feel better if I lend it to you and then you can give it back at the end of the month? I was like, okay, fine. And then I took this money and I was broke that month. Something had happened. I think something happened to my car, whatever that I needed to fix. I took this money, I put it in a drawer, guys. I put it in a drawer and I left it there. And at the end of the month, I took that same envelope with the exact money and then I gave it back to this guy. And that's completely irrational. But the vows and the beliefs we have cause us to behave in ways that are not logical, but they're in keeping with that vow. So that's an example of a present life vow. We make vows and we've made vows in previous lives as well. A lot of people have at some point taken a vow of poverty. If you were at some point maybe a priest or a nun or part of a religious sect as well, but they have an impact because we're souls, we're infinite beings. You die and then you come back as another person in another body, but your soul is infinite. And some of these vows are made at a soul level. And it doesn't matter that I die as Kagiso and then next life I'm born as David. If it was a soul vow, I carry that vow into my next life. And some people who struggle with money and prosperity, it's because of lives that they've made in past lives. And we want to deal with all of those things, so don't feel despondent. Then we've got ancestral blocks. We literally inherit issues from our ancestors through our cellular memory. So this is not something we think about a lot, but your body is made up of half of your mother's DNA and half of your father's DNA. And in your cellular memory, you carry certain beliefs and certain traumas, and you literally inherit them. So it's like the issues are in your tissues. And when you think about it, your mother's body is made up of her mother and her father. Your father's body is made up of his mother and his father. And they carried their issues and the people before them and the people before them and the people before them. And sometimes you see in families that all people in a family will have a similar kind of difficulty or problem. And it's not only just problems. Sometimes those things are gifts, but you literally inherit stuff from your ancestors through your DNA. And then we've got fears and traumas. Traumas can create blocks to abundance. For instance, maybe you got mugged once and you concluded that it's not safe for you to look abundant because people will want to hurt you for what you've got. Or maybe you once made a lot of money and now you've lost it. And it hurts so much for you to lose the money that you're scared to have that much money again in case you lose it again. This one happens a lot with relationships where you'll fall in love and then the breakup is so bad that consciously or unconsciously you tell yourself that you'll never open your heart that much again to someone else. And then you start behaving accordingly, even if it's not conscious. So when bad things happen, we start associating money with fear and anxiety, and nobody wants to deal with something that makes them fearful or anxious. You may be in a lot of debt, and whenever you think about money, the thoughts are always infected by feelings of shame and feelings of guilt. All of these feelings have a low vibration and will affect your money flows. A lot of people, believe it or not, have a fear of having money. They associate it with a lot of stress, danger, loss. So when money comes in, they get rid of it as quickly as possible, or they prevent it coming in the first place. Many people have a fear of being seen. You may find that there's abundance that's trying to come to you, but it requires you to be more visible. You might have a fear of criticism, so you hide yourself so you're not exposed to too many people. You may have a fear of receiving. That's a big one, and we're going to spend a lot of time on receiving. It's a big block for most people, especially for women. And then we've got patterns, behaviors, and habits. We just have certain habits and behaviors that negatively impact the flow of our abundance. A good example is many people avoid paying their bills, and they hold paying their bills off to the very last minute. And what this demonstrates is that you don't believe that the money that's leaving your account will be replaced, so you tend to hang on to it to the very last minute. And so what you're saying is that I don't believe in an abundant universe. I have to hang on to what I have because I'm not sure if more will come in. Someone, when I posted in the Goddess Academy group, I posted that money flow visualization. Someone commented that they felt a panic when they imagined the money flowing through them. They wanted to hang on to the flow. So they wanted it to flow into them but stay in them. And the only reason you'd feel that is because you don't believe there's more coming. If you believe there's more coming, it can flow right through because there's more. So we're going to uncover all of these things because some of them are common to people and some will be unique to you, but that's why the 35 weeks, basically. All right, so when you look at this picture, I like this picture because I want you to look at the top there. You see this big, huge river. So imagine that this is money and abundance. There's lots and lots of it. And then there's a dam wall, all right? So these are your beliefs, your vows, your traumas, your ancestral issues, your patterns and behaviors, and they're blocking your money flow. And as a result, this little thin, green, not very vibrant looking stream of water is all you have access to. Meanwhile, behind this wall, all of this wants to come to you. So one of my favorite quotes from Rumi, I'm sure I've exposed you over and over again because it's the key to so much. It says, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. You can replace that love with money or with abundance. Your task is not to seek for money, but to merely seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. And that's really what we're going to be doing over the 35 weeks. We're going to identify all of these barriers that have built this wall so that this flow that wants to come to you. Remember, the law of abundance says the source wants to give you. So all of this that wants to come to you is being blocked, and all we're doing is getting rid of these blocks so that you have access to all of that. Okay, so at this rate, I won't blame you if you feel like, oh my God, it's a lot. It is, but we have 35 weeks to go through it, and we have tools to do it, and we have a framework to do it. So the tools I can group into two things. We've got clearing tools. The clearing tools that we'll be using EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. We'll be using Access Consciousness clearing tools. We'll probably also use Byron Katie's The Work, depending on what comes up for us. And then the second bit is energy work. So we'll be doing a lot of rituals, meditations, visualizations, and other forms of energy work. And that's what I want to talk about. The energy work, the rituals, and the meditations, and so on. So this image here that I've put here, I want you to imagine that this giant sumo wrestler guy is your subconscious mind, and this itty bitty little boy is your conscious mind, right? If there's a fight between these two, who's going to win? This guy over here. So just hang on to that thought, because we put too much stock on our conscious rational mind, which is the baby boy. But if the rational mind truly ran the show, you would have solved all the problems that you have. The fact that despite your big, beautiful, logical mind, you still have problems should be an indication that it's not as influential in resolving your issues. Then, in a way, it implies that someone else or something else is running the show. Your subconscious mind is running programs that are a million times more powerful than the processing ability of your conscious mind. This is a quote from Bruce Lipton, PhD. It's from the book Biology of Belief. You can read it if you want. You don't really have to. Your beliefs can and do affect your relationship with money and with anything really. I call it internal alignment. So if your core beliefs, which are mainly unconscious, some of them are conscious, but they're mainly unconscious, if they don't align with your objective, you will never achieve what you consciously want. This is because your subconscious mind runs the show. Apparently, only 50% of our minds are conscious. It's not a match for the 85% that is subconscious. If your conscious and subconscious minds want different things, the subconscious will win every time. The big guy will win over the small guy every time if they are not aligned. If your conscious and unconscious mind were computers, and in a way they are, because your mind's primary job is to process. It's a computer, it's a processing machine. Your subconscious mind has way better processing abilities, and what makes it worse is also it's more efficient in terms of energy consumption. And generally, our bodies like efficiency, and the less energy you have, literal physical energy you have, the more tired you become, or whatever, you automatically default to using your subconscious mind because it doesn't take up as much energy as your logical mind. So, and when you think about it, we live in a world where it's designed for us to be so tired and doing all the time that it's one of the ways that the powers that be keep us unconscious or in our subconscious minds. Because when it's like if you've got a car and there's a full tank, your conscious mind has more say because you have a lot of energy. But as the petrol reduces in your tank, your subconscious mind takes over because it uses less petrol. Now think about how often we are in a state of fatigue, and most of us don't even think it's fatigue anymore because it seems normal. That's how we do, but we're exhausted. We're just an exhausted bunch of people. So you are being run by your subconscious mind on a good day, and more so when you're tired, and we're tired most of the time. And it's very easy to tell if you don't have internal alignment. If you've wanted something for a long time and you've used methods that should work to achieve it and you fail, it probably means that your subconscious mind does not want it, or it wants something different. For example, you may want to lose weight, but at the same time you have an unconscious belief that women in your family go up 4 sizes after having kids. You've bought into this belief and you go up 4 sizes after you have kids, because your unconscious beliefs carry more influence than your conscious belief that says, I want to lose weight and get back to my pre-baby weight, for example. Sometimes you get inconsistent results if your subconscious and conscious minds are evenly matched in the opposition. So let's stick to the weight example. So you lose weight, but you can't keep it off. You lose it, then you gain it. You lose it, then you gain it, because it's like sort of a fight between your conscious and subconscious mind. This alignment applies to everything, not just money. That's why I'm making examples about other things or relationships. For example, maybe you've got conflicting beliefs in your conscious and subconscious mind about whether a relationship is good or bad, and then you get into it and it never lasts, and you get into another one. But whenever you have inconsistent results, you know that there is alignment, there's misalignment between your conscious and subconscious mind, right? In the case of money, maybe you believe that you don't deserve to earn more than 150,000 per month. And as a result, you will likely fail to get jobs that pay more than 150, or you may get a job that pays more than 150, but you find that you have to sacrifice something else in your life to justify the extra money. Maybe your relationship starts to suffer, or you have a horrible boss, or your route to work is just a nightmare full of traffic or whatever, but you will find a way to pay for the extra money, if that makes sense. Basically, if you do all the right things and you try to do all the right things and you don't get anywhere, it's because your subconscious mind has a different agenda. It's called a hidden agenda. You've got a hidden agenda that goes counter to what you think you want consciously. Right. Yes. So this is where energy work comes in, because it does not engage your conscious mind at all. Your subconscious mind is called a pre-verbal mind. It doesn't use language. It's symbolic. You've seen in your dreams, because when you dream, you go into your subconscious. Your dreams are not very literal. They are symbolic. So what people struggle with is that we fail to shift subconscious issues in our lives because we do not know how to speak the language of the subconscious. It's a language of energy. So what we tend to do is harder, faster, more. It's like when if you've been to another country, or you're talking to someone who speaks a different language and they don't understand you, you start talking to them louder and slower. Like, do you know where the bathroom is? Which doesn't change anything. You're just speaking slower and louder in a language they don't understand. So you can get a lot of information intellectually. You can understand a lot of things with your intellectual conscious mind. But if you don't communicate to your conscious, subconscious mind in a language that it speaks, nothing real is going to shift in your life. All that's going to happen is that you get frustrated and angry with yourself. So back to that example. So imagine that you're in Japan and you desperately need to go to the bathroom, but you don't speak Japanese. And you keep on stopping these Japanese people, asking them where the bathroom is in English. It's not going to help you one bit. You can do it loudly, it's not going to help. You can do it slowly, it's not going to help. But if you show the Japanese the international symbol of a public toilet, they'll get it and say, oh, this is where the bathroom is. It's a similar thing with your unconscious mind. We need to do symbolic work so that the subconscious can understand what we intend to achieve, right? So we're going to do all sorts of weird things, and this is why we're doing the weird stuff. All right, so I spoke about the tools. We're going to use clearing tools and energy work. Now, the framework that we're going to use to go through all of that stuff. So we're going to look at your beliefs, your vows, ancestral issues, traumas, behaviors, and all of those things. But we're going to use two lenses to look at them. The first lens is your experiences. Remember, we spoke about as within, so without. So from your experiences, it's very easy to tell what kind of baggage you have on the inside. And the other thing that we're going to use is the chakra system, right? Just in case some of you don't know about chakras, they're a really nice way to organize something and to work through various blocks to money and abundance. Because money is a very highly charged subject, and you'll discover that seemingly everything is connected to money, from survival all the way to freedom. And it could get very chaotic very quickly as all these limiting beliefs come up and you remember vows and you notice behaviors and you just want to say, oh my God, this is too much, I can't deal. So to ensure that we don't drown in despair, we're going to organize our freedom from limiting beliefs around the 7 primary human chakras. So chakra is a Sanskrit word, and it literally means wheel. So if you do the literal translation of it. So chakras are wheels that channel energy throughout your body. And each chakra is very connected to your physical body, because each chakra connects to a main nerve center in your body, as well as to certain major organs. Like, for instance, your root chakra is connected to your bladder and your kidneys and your adrenal glands. So they influence not only our physical, but also our psychological, emotional, and spiritual states. So during the next 8 months, we're going to identify money blockages connected with each chakra. So in a way, it's going to organize all this flow of information that's going to be coming through. Yeah, I just wanted to say that so that you know that it's not going to be a flood of, oh, I've got so many problems, I don't know where to start with them. So this has been long, longer than I expected. I think this is probably going to be the longest module because it's the first one. Because I never want to drown people with too much information. It's far more important for me that you integrate the information as opposed to just knowing stuff. So basically what happens with all of us is that these mostly unconscious beliefs, traumas, ancestral issues, fears, and so on are dragging us down the way this puppy is dragging this poor child. And the next 8 months is dedicated to setting you free so there's more ease in your relationship with money and blockages to your money flows are removed. So you'll receive a module each week on a Monday. You have access to a Facebook group where we can talk and share. A lot of insights come from such shared learning environments. So unless if you're super anti-Facebook, I suggest that you join the group. And every third week, we're going to have a 1 hour long Zoom session. We're going to spend the first 30 minutes of the session dedicated to a Q&A if you've got questions about any of the content that came up or stuff that came up in your life. And we're going to spend the last 30 minutes doing clearing work. So I'm going to give you clearing work to do on your own, but I also want us to do clearing work as a group because for some reason clearings are more powerful when you do them in a group. I think it has something to do with the power of having a shared intention, but you shift a lot of stuff when you do clearings in a group. So here's to saying yes to money. Yeah. Remember to download your workbook and start working on it. And I have also uploaded a file in the Facebook group of Diana Cooper's book called A Little Light on Spiritual Laws. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group, do so now. It's a useful book to read. It'll provide you with a lot of uncommon knowledge for all aspects of your life, not just money and abundance. You know me, I always say everything is connected to everything else, and I like having programs that shift more than one area of your life. So I will see you soon.